everybody. Welcome back to a brand new episode of Millennials Anonymous Podcast. Yes, it is your girl, Leise, and I am a fucking millennial. Yes, I said that really aggressive. I said it aggressive. I think it's because last week I was sort of like, hey, my name is Leise, and I'm a millennial. Because I had guests on, you know, and they was the prominence, you know what I mean? The prominence. So I knew they were gonna hear, so I was like, I can't be ratchets. I can't be loud. I gotta be even keeled, even toned. But guess what? I'm back to it, because now we have a guest today as well. We have Mr. Richard Drosin MSM. It's MSM, sorry, not an MSN. He's not on MSN, sorry. No MSNBCs and no MSNs. He's just MSM. Okay, he's going to be on here. He's going to be telling us about how to help yourself further your career, get a job through information, of course, while COVID is going on. Because it's a lot of people who right now are out of work. A lot of people who didn't expect to be out of work who are out of work. So we're going to talk about that. But before I do that, I got to thank my guest from last week. When I say prominence, when I say he is music gold, he created one of the best groups of all time, and he has some of the best kids of all time. So I want to give a big shout out to Dr. Matthew Knowles for coming through and for gracing us with all of his knowledge. And if you didn't catch the interview, make sure you go back and watch it. Plus, if you didn't catch the underlying tone, the underlying theme, I didn't even know he was going to be talking about voting. But the underlying theme he wanted to get through was, please, young people, go out and vote. The best way to showcase your voice is voting. And it's not just voting, because I know a lot of people, there was this big push about voting locally, and voting locally is extremely important. And if you listen to this, I have one of the things through Anchor is running. 30% of people leave a part of their ballot blank. Like, they just leave it blank because they don't know anything about what is this judge? What is this? What's the circuit court judge? What's this? I don't know what Circuit City's still going around. Like, they don't know what it means. So make sure you know who's on the ballot in your local county and community and city so that you can vote for the right people, because like he said, judges make a lot of these rules and they set the precedents for a lot of these laws that come down the pipeway and for these other big cases. So a lot of the time, like I said this before, in the legal setting, they use precedent cases in order to preside over other cases. So make sure you know who your judges are, because like if you got upset about the Amy Geiger sentencing, that judge was elected. So you need to make sure that you know who you're voting for, but not just on the local level, okay? Because we're going to talk about this in top 10 trending topics, but we lost a very prominent figure in women's rights, and she did a lot for civil rights. So make sure that you vote for the president, because a lot of these big things that you want will go through the United States Supreme Court. And if you don't know how the United States Supreme Court, how they get those judges on the United States Supreme Court, you need to look it up. That is why the president of the United States matters, not to mention the executive orders that he can put in place. You need to vote for not only your local officials, you also need to vote for your president. So make sure you know, and I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. I'm just going to tell you to get the fuck out and vote, okay? And if you don't vote, don't complain. Don't talk about nothing that's going on if you don't like it, because if you don't vote, you have no room to talk. That's all I'm saying. But thanks again, Dr. Matthew Knowles, for coming on. He is, professor. Thank you so much. And I gotta put this out there. So there was a post that went out, as you know, each and every week I get on here and I'll be like, you know what? I gotta shout out to my peoples at Bruncheon. Bruncheon is finito, is deaded, is done, is dead in the grave. They done put dirt on it, it flowers, okay? Rigor mortis have set in, it is done, okay? And I want to give a big M.A.P.S media canceled. We canceled it, Bruncheon, on, I think it was Friday. We canceled Bruncheon on Friday. Friday or Saturday, might have been Saturday. And it was canceled because there were some people that pulled out, okay? And they said, hey, I want to work on my own thing, which is fine. But then when one person pulled out, then the other people started to pull out. And so it didn't make sense to try to replace. We might as well create something new, which is what mass media is doing. We are in talks with people, different people, different voices, millennial voices, okay, that are going to be dope as hell. So if you're like, man, I really like that show, just stay tuned. You're going to love what's coming next. Trust me, you're going to like it. So make sure you stay locked and loaded with that. But I want to thank all of my co-hosts or anybody who was a part of Brunchin'. So shout out to Ashley, the Cannabis Nurse. Shout out to The Guru. Shout out to E Digga. Make sure you follow them. You can find Ashley. Well, Ashley still will. I'm going to convince her. Okay, she doesn't know this yet. I'm gonna slightly push her to get her own platform. Okay, we need to hear about this cannabis. We need Ask Ashley might be a podcast. Okay, I'm just saying. So just stay tuned. It may be its own podcast in and of itself. I'm gonna convince her some kind of way, somehow, some way. But make sure you follow her like I did last week at Cannabis Nursing Solutions. So make sure you go out and follow her. You can on Instagram as well. She's Cannabis Nursing Solutions. And make sure you follow The Guru. He's on 15,000 podcasts. Make sure you like one of them. The Brothers, if it has the Brothers in it, he's probably on it. Okay? So the Brothers of Talk, the Brothers of Legacy, and the Knucklehead Chronicles, I think it's coming back. So make sure you follow him on something, on some platform, because he's so awesome. Okay? And then make sure you follow E Digga at Charm City Direct TV. He's got a lot of stuff going on over there. He's bringing back a couple of different shows, and he's bringing new people in. He has new shows every day. So make sure you go over there and support him. So with that being said, I appreciate everybody who supported Brunchin'. If you watched it, if you were a guest on it, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for what you do. So don't be upset. Don't be sad. We got something coming. Okay? Several things coming. And you're gonna like it. Trust me, you're gonna like it. I know you want a panel show. You're like, bitch, I don't want to hear you talk all the time. Okay, I got you. All right? Okay? We got a panel show coming with new millennial, and I do mean millennials. Millennial voices are coming. All right. So, with that being said, I got to give you these top 10 trending topics, okay? I got to give you these top 10 trending topipics of the week.
Turn that shit up! Turn that shit up!
Let's get to these top 10 trending topics of the week. So, Kanye West he's at it again. Kanye West is at it again. He is on a roll. I think Kanye West has been in, I don't know if this is a stunt or if this is a marketing plan, but he has been in the news almost every single day. Congratulations, Kanye. You have been in the headlines almost every single day. You're really doing it on a marketing side of getting a lot of eyeballs. I don't know if there's a line coming, a shoe coming, but you really got a lot of eyeballs on you. But this time, it's partially selfish, partially not selfish. So Kanye West is doing something, actually Kanye West for the people, okay? Kanye West for the people. Presidential candidate Kanye West is adding something. Yes, presidential candidate Kanye West is adding to his political campaign, right? He's adding this to a bullet. I don't know if he is, but I'm gonna add it in there because he got a lot going on. You might as well condensify, like I said last week, condensify. So we're gonna add a bullet. One of the things on his political, I guess, website will be giving music artists back their masters. They should own their own masters to their music, per Kanye West, which I agree with. I think that music artists and creatives should own more of the work that they create. But it goes back to business dealings and understanding business dealings and understanding how that works once you get in the bed with a big corporation who may know more than you do. So Kanye West is calling on Jay-Z and Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole and a couple of other lyrical rappers, because I guess lyrical rappers can revamp the industry. And he says he wants to sit down. He wants them to change the music industry, and he said he wanted his friends back, which I can truly identify with that. It seems like he's been off by himself for a while, so I can see why he probably want his friends back. But Kanye, Are we still working on the birthday party? Is the birthday party still rolling? Like, how is this working? Kanye, listen, you can't make the pods for the people and then you're doing this. This is a lot. We gotta make it togetherness. Okay, we have to, either you're gonna focus on running for president or you're gonna focus on fixing the music industry. It is very hard for you to do those two things at the same time. Okay, and although a lot of us listeners, we want our artists to own their masters, but we don't even know what the hell that means. So you can't really put that on your political campaign. Kanye, listen, you doing a lot. And peeing on the Grammy, listen. The fact that you had to piss on the Grammy and then you took the Grammy out of the pissy toilet is a lot. Okay, that's a lot. I get the symbolism, all right? I get that, but you're doing a lot. You're doing a lot, buddy. And we need for you to fix one. Well, let's pick one. We running for president or we fixing the music industry? Are you running for president or you being a musical advocate? We need you to put it together, Kanye, because right now it's a lot going on. I'm just saying. And in some very sad news, sad news, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the notorious RBG, passed away at the age of 87 years old. So shout out to her. She has been a big proponent in women's rights and civil rights. She went to the best school, law school, and could not get a job because of her gender, and she fought through it. She also, has done so many things for people, and she has some amazing quotes out there. So make sure you check her out. Make sure you get the book, The Notorious RBG, because she was so dope in her life, and we need to really honor her legacy before we move on from her legacy, which is totally, I think, on the levels of disrespect that Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump have been beyond. Like, she wasn't even she hadn't even been gone before they started plotting to replace her. Like, it's just a lot. And that was her last dying wish, to have another president. Hopefully she would be replaced under another president, which is a sad thing that, if you think about it, this woman, this great woman who had done so much for the world, carried this burden through pancreatic cancer so that she could try to stay and hang on for the country, the United States of America. That's a lot, because she knew what was on the line. And I wish more people understood that a lot of the rules and the laws of the land will come through, especially when you want these big policy changes about policing and defunding police and all of this type of stuff. When you look at all of the things that are going to come through the United States Supreme Court, you want to know who's sitting on that court. You know who appoints those people. The president of the United States. So if you say, I don't vote for the president because it doesn't matter, or I don't understand why it matters, you need to pick up a book. I'm just saying. That's all. I'm not going to get into it no further than that, but I will read her quote. She said, I would like to be remembered as someone who used whatever talent she had to do her work to the very best of her ability. And that you will. Thank you so much, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, for all that you've done. And speaking of which, she actually did not learn how to cook. She wouldn't learn how to cook because she wanted to focus on doing more reading and doing her job. And speaking of which, she took a page out of Cardi's book, or Cardi took a page out of hers, because Cardi also says she don't cook either. And I don't hear y'all saying it about, RBG was a bomb ass lady. So Cardi is actually getting divorced. Yeah, her and Offset are getting divorced, and I've seen all the memes. They're all out there. WAP didn't keep it home. You can't turn a hoe into a housewife. And I'm like, listen, first of all, why she gotta be a hoe? That's the first thing I want to know, because the only person I didn't seen her with was fucking Offset. Like, I don't understand why, we out here calling her all kind of names and out of her name and everything, because she made a song called WAP. And like I said the other week, it was a bomb ass bar. It was a bomb ass bar, but we knew that that's not exactly what it was, because she's had her own public battles with Offset for a while. the creator of Skirt Skirt, we knew what was going on, okay? Because she's been very vocal. It's been in the news. It's been all over the place that they've had their own public struggles. Now, she came and she combated it. She didn't say that. She said there was nobody that was pregnant. He didn't cheat on her. Again, this was them just growing apart. We'll never really know what happens, and it's not really our place to really know what the fuck happens in their relationship, but it's a lot of y'all. I'm just gonna throw this out there. It's a lot of y'all that's going after Cardi B, okay? And y'all living in dirty houses with a mattress on the floor. And y'all saying, you know, I'm cooking and clean. I'm like, you don't clean either, and you don't have a man at all. No, you don't. You don't. So apparently, or some of y'all still, the motherfucker sleeping right next to you with the mattress on the floor in the dirt.
But not today, though. Today I'm wildin'. Today I'm bugging and thugging. Not today. But soon though, I love y'all. Stay in school.
Some of y'all still got men and don't clean. And y'all still got them. And some of y'all men are cheating and you just stay. Staying and leave. If somebody is not doing you right, staying don't make it a good relationship. It just means that you persevering. Okay? And I don't want to persevere through a goddamn marriage. That's a long time. Okay? Life is short when you young, but when you old and you with somebody you can't fucking stand, life is long. It is long. Every breath they take, you turn into Sting in the son of a gun. It's just not. It's long. So be happy. Be free. Be free. I'm sure Cardi B and Offset will be.
I want you to repeat after
Trust me. She seems all right to me. And the Emmys happened and everybody looked virtually stunning because it was virtual. I don't know, it was a lot of Zooms, a lot of Google Meets, Google Skype. They was a lot of that. It was amazing because black people won. It was a black night. Just like with the Oscars, it was a black night. There was a lot of black winners. A lot of black people won. So shout out to black people for that, or people of color. Shout out to people of color, okay, for winning. They really did it up. RuPaul's Drag Race won for the best competitive series. They had Regina King and The Watchmen winning for the best lead actress in a limited series and the best limited series. Now, listen. How the hell, listen, Showtime. I think it was on Showtime. How the fuck y'all cancel it? But that shit was winning awards. Like, I don't understand. I watched it for a minute. Like, Regina King is an amazing actress. She's just like, she's dope, bomb ass. I don't know. For me, I couldn't necessarily like follow it, but I think had y'all let the show stay on a little longer, we might have been able to grasp everything that was going on. So maybe they'll bring it back. I don't know. Well, maybe it'll come back on a different network. Somebody let me know if it's coming back. I don't know. And Saturday Night Live wins an Emmy, and Eddie Murphy wins his first Emmy. And his hallway, when he did that video, his hallway was looking like, whoosh, woo. It looked like he was in the Library of Congress in his some gun. Like, how do you get that rich where he could have a whole family, like a whole apartment building, live in his goddamn hallway? You could say, you could hear, I want to have echoes too in my hallway. I don't have echoes. I could probably touch my ceiling. I don't want to do this no more. I want to have echoes. I want to have echoes. But shout out to him. Congratulations to him for doing that on a comeback at that on Saturday Night Live. So that's awesome. And speaking of people who won, Dave Chappelle is out there telling the haters to brush. They can kiss his ass. He's brushing the dirt off his shirt. He's like, kiss my ass, kiss my ass. He brought extra Grammys. Not Grammys, sorry, Grammys. It's like Grammys. Well, he does actually have Grammys, I believe, but he brought extra Emmys up there. He was like, look, these not even the Emmys that I got this year. This is just these old Emmys, okay? So I need y'all to shut up. All the people that said I lost my way and this is not funny and I'm over. Look at this. Like, I shout out to Dave. I think this is a win for comedians because comedy has taken a hit. Millennials and Generation Z, I'm not gonna lie, we've kind of ruined comedy. Okay, we were very sensitive. Us and Richarddrozen, we are very sensitive, and we really ended what comedy was. Okay, like if you know anything about comedy comes from pain, and the reason why I say that is because everybody don't know what it's like to be happy. It's some people that's never experienced true happiness. They don't know what that's like. They cannot identify with that. But what everybody can identify with is sadness, anger, frustration, and that's what comedians do. They take that, they put it in a joke, and they make it relatable, and they make it funny. They make pain funny, so you're laughing at things that wouldn't necessarily be funny, and that makes life just that much greater. So for us to take comedy and like try to make it safe and put a bubble wrap around it, it's a lot. So I think this is a win for comedians. It shows that people still support comedians in their true rawest form. If you don't like Dave, that might not be your cup of tea, but I think overall this helps comedians. That's what I'm just saying. And Donald Trump wants to whitewash American history. He's trying to make America seem greater in rewriting history, and he wants to fund this through the TikTok deal. And I can't say that Oracle PeopleSoft bought TikTok, because it's not really an acquisition as much as it's some kind of partnership, but he wants to make and like rope that in, which I think is crazy to me. Like, history is already done. You can't change history. Now you can cover it up. Let's change some of these terms we're using. Is that you can't change history. History is done. You can cover it up. Now, if that ain't some dictator shit for your ass, I don't know what is. But there's some time that, and like I said, I'm a big history person because I believe history helps you from doing the shit you just did. Okay? So we need the history. But this tells you that he's trying to go back to some shit. He wants to make America great again. And there were some times in history that I don't think it was so great. There's some times that people that look like me don't want to go back to. Black people, Asian Americans, Native Americans, or natives, Hispanic Americans, Jewish Americans, Muslim Americans. There's just some times that people that don't fit white and Christian and white male and Christian don't want to go back to. That's all I'm saying. Maybe we need to let history ride. Okay, just let it ride, and so we don't go back to doing that. That's just what I'm saying. And also vote. Okay, vote. And legal action is actually being taken against Miss Dana Chanel, who's the founder of Jumping Jack Taxes, with her husband. And I heard about this on a blog because actually I was following her husband and her because they were business people or whatever. So if you're not familiar with them, like they're like these motivational speakers. I'm not religious, you know that, but I don't get down with the religious side, but I can appreciate people who have created and done business. And so, yeah, like I think I've reached out to her. She didn't respond, of course, but I reached out to her, to try to talk to women who have really been able to do things. And I heard this on a blog that people are suing them because they were charging astronomical amounts of money to do things that people can do themselves. They were making claims that were not necessarily true. So I don't know, like right now, Jumping Jack Tax denies all these allegations. So these are all alleged. But what I will say is, this is the unfortunate world that we live in, but people pay for convenience. This is why I said this 5 weeks ago. You need to know what it is that you are paying for. If you're trying to get into business, like I talked about when I went through like a legal Zoom and stuff like that, and when I didn't know how much stuff cost, I was paying for stuff that I could do for free. Everything in this world can be done for free. Period, poo. Everything can be done for free. You can do it yourself. We pay for convenience. So if you don't know how much that costs, and there's nothing wrong with paying somebody to do it or help you, but you need to know how much it costs. And the reason why you need to know how much it costs is so you don't get got. You don't get got. People can't get over on you because you know how much it costs. So at the end of the day, if you overpay for stuff, some of it has to fall, like you've got to do some research and due diligence. Now, we can't have businesses out here ransacking consumers either. Like we can't have that. If this is true, it's despicable just to make $1. You're gonna like calling people out their money. That's not good. But we also have to make sure that we know exactly what it is that we're doing, which the blog that I was watching, they said the same thing. But one of the things in this blog that I was watching, they were saying that as a small business owner, you should do everything yourself. No, that's one of the biggest flaws that especially people of color have with their business and why their business doesn't grow. All of the other businesses and big people you see, you may only see a Jeff Bezos, but Jeff Bezos doesn't stand there without Mackenzie Bezos. Jeff Bezos doesn't stand there without Mackenzie Bezos' parents. You've got to know that there's a network of people around. You got to know when to delegate these tasks to other people. That's all I'm saying. And you include other people in your journey, therefore your business is scaling up. That's all I'm saying. And the CDC is now saying that COVID can spread through the air, through droplets. I don't know. Like, I feel like it gets scarier and scarier. They tell us you can't, then they tell us you do, and it's like it's a lot. And y'all is out here in these streets. Listen. Y'all is out here full in these streets. Y'all have forgotten about COVID. Y'all think COVID done packed her shit up and she done went home. She is not. COVID is still lurking around. She is in your trunk. She is under your bed. She is in your closet. That's why I'm telling y'all not wearing masks no more. Y'all back in the club. Y'all back in the strip club. Like, y'all don't really need to have COVID titties in your face. Like, you can wait. Like, y'all, please wear a mask. And please social distance. I've seen more people that just said, fuck this quarantine. And we got to get back into being safe, because now the CDC is telling us some more stuff. So hopefully we get a vaccine soon, but it seemed like we're gonna be in the house until 2023. I don't know. Joe Rogan, the podcast king, is in trouble. And the reason why I'm gonna call him the podcast king is because he had $100 million to Spotify. Like, that's like unprecedented, I think. A milli. He got $100 million, and he's apologizing because he misinformed people. He did come back and he apologized, and he said, it's out there now, but be more careful about the information that you read and information that you spread. He was spreading misinformation about the wildfires in Oregon. He was accusing protesters of spreading these wildfires and people setting these wildfires, and it wasn't really caused by climate change. So I mean, when you got a platform that big, Joe, you got to be very careful about what you say. Like I said, I say things all the time, but my platform is very small. So I even once you get out there, you have to be very careful. It's hard. Sometimes you make a mistake. So he apologized about it. It is out there now. I don't know. This is just a tricky situation because I guess once you got 100 million, you got somebody that could do that research. I don't know. I'm going to leave it alone, but he did apologize. And the New York Times is saying in an article, they're asking if sex is dead for parents during the pandemic. And what I will say is parents been seeking having sex since the beginning of time. So the answer is no. This is where you get all these quarantine babies from, okay? You're getting quarantine babies because parents is going in the laundry room. They are going in closets. They're going in the cars. Some cars, like my car, I'm not going to say that I know this for sure, but the car that I have, all the seats actually go down in my SUV. I'm not going to say that I know why they do, but all of them, including the passenger and the driver's seat, go completely flat. So there's ways for you to figure this out. You know what I mean? Like, you can figure this out, parents. It's not dead. And if you don't have sex with your partner, it's because you just don't like them. This is the same thing going back full circle. It's a long life when you with somebody you can't fucking say. Okay? And a lot of people been getting divorced in the quarantine because you really got to evaluate. You got to evaluate these characteristics. Like, I didn't even know you had them characteristics. I don't know if I like them. Like, where you get them from? Did you pick them up at the store? Like, I'm not sure. Like, that's kind of where we at, so it's hard. But parents, nah, parents is out here, they bumping and grinding and everything, okay? They not swinging on chandeliers. They can't do that because they the kids hear that, all right? But they out here bumping and grinding in the closet. I'm just saying, they bumping and grinding in the closet. When the kids on school, they on virtual school. Parents, that's why you don't see them. That's where they at. That's where they at. That's why, parents be tired. They be tired. But this has been your top 10 trending topics of the week. Let's get into this interview with Mr. Richard Drosin so we can get everybody some jobs. All right, so we have a guest today. We have Mr. Richard Drosin, or should I say Chief Resume Writer Richard Drosin in the building. So how are you doing today?
I am doing great. Thanks for having me on the show. It was great last time, so I'm glad that you asked me to come back, and I'm excited.
Okay, things have changed a little bit. I've stopped being so uptight, so it'll be more fun this time than last time.
All right.
But I want to kind of give people a rundown. Who are you? What do you do for those who maybe didn't hear the first interview, and kind of just a brief overview of your backstory?
Absolutely. So to give you guys a quick story, I started doing this around 2012 when I was actually out the military. I realized I felt like some of the folks that were doing the training weren't really sincere, or it was just another job to them. I said, you know what, let me go in and I could do what they do, but better. So I took the time to really perfect my craft. I learned about the different jobs. I started off internally with soldiers, and then worked my way up, and then branched out to civilians. And then when I got out the military, I just started helping everybody. And I did it for years, until, the past 3 years, where it's really sort of just, taken off a form of its own. And I love it. This is my passion. I love doing this. I mean, I've gotten a lot of people hired, and, so far so good. I think right now, even through COVID, I've had 192 people hired in about, how many days? Someone told me it was like 250 days. So it's been a couple days. So 192 people hired in about 253 days now. So I love it,
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. And I've always seen you on LinkedIn. I follow you on LinkedIn, and you always are posting something, which is great to see, because a lot of career coaches, I do want to throw this out there because I was kind of in the industry as well. A lot of people don't necessarily post the work that they do, and you do. Is there a reason why you want to show, your successes and failures?
Because I'm still doubted. The truth, I mean, let's be honest, like, I'm in a very high competitive nature. And I don't necessarily fit the mold of what most people would want a coach to be, or a certain way, So the way I look at it is, I've always been consistent about my victories. If I don't have any, I'm not posting anything. If I'm not posting victories, I'm either posting something about motivation, or I'm sharing some things. But for me, it's important, because I have to show folks I don't have to show it. Matter of fact, I do it because I want people to know that you can get hired, that there's multiple different ways of you working with someone and having said results. Because even though I've been very successful, I mean, there's quite a few I haven't been successful in. But, even then, that number is so tiny that I can't even begin to tell you how low that is, because I really take the time to work with a lot of people, and I've just mastered my craft. And I continue to master my craft to get better. But to be honest with you, because even now I'm still doubted within the industry, and I'm still, people don't necessarily believe what I'm doing is actually, if it's actually true, So it's kind of like I have to consistently put data and facts, because nobody will argue with data and facts.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're in a crazy time. Well, we're in a crazy time.
True,
but yes,
true.
I get what you're saying. Saying. Now, as far as the resumes go, right now, like, again, we're in a really crazy time. Tough spot. Lots of people got laid off. Lots of people's industries disappeared almost overnight.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
What can people do to start standing out? Because it's tough out there.
It's funny because you mentioned that, because that's actually a lot of the questions I get asked now is, so, hey, Richard, so I don't know what to do. Like, the market, is it really competitive if people are hiring? I'm like, yeah, I can tell you, April was probably the worst, crappy month I've ever had as a resume writer. Probably when I first started, the numbers were so low. I think I had 14 people hired that month, and for me, I'm usually, I was starting to panic. I was like, oh God, this is not good. So then the next month we had 21, 24, 28, 28, 31, 38, or 30, but it kept going. So I kept going to a good number. Like, all right, people are getting hired again. And I've been getting an upward trajectory of folks getting hired, and their responses are coming back a lot faster, and truthfully, what I would tell people is essentially you're gonna, this is when you start being proactive. So I'm getting a lot more people being proactive than they were before, where they were very like, I don't know if I really want to hire someone. I don't want to do it. But, we're at a point now where people are taking it seriously.
Okay. Yeah. And I think that another thing that a lot of people aren't thinking about in this time, because not just standing out, because now it's going to get tighter, especially in those lower, I don't want to say lower, but less skilled positions.
Oh God, I feel bad. I didn't even think about, what? Gosh, that's a really good point, because I have not, and I'm usually the one preaching for the laborers and the janitors and, like the folks that are like, that have to be at work. Geez, it is tough, because I am dealing with, that force, tends to be slightly a little bit older, and they're used to being at work. So a lot of them are essential workers, and they are still doing the assignments that a lot of folks aren't doing. But then you have folks that are losing jobs because they don't have anything else, don't have another skill set. So this is really, really a terrible time. It's frustrating. It really is sad.
I know a person who it was such a niche job, but it wasn't like a high education job. And somebody now, they're looking for work. What do you say to those people who are going to be out of work for a little while? How do you fill the COVID gap? How do you make sure that your resume doesn't show a slump? Because we could be here till 2021.
I'm not gonna say that, but yeah, I'll put it to you like this. I would say, nowadays we have such a huge gig economy, and we have a lot of part-time jobs that aren't looked at negatively like they might have been in the past. So I would advise everybody and anybody, if you can fill it with some freelance work, or that you say that you've done, that keep up, as you've been keeping up your skills, you're doing something to help boost it, that would be the best thing, and truthfully, and if you don't want to do that, that's okay. And I'm gonna be honest with you, because and I say this for once, because usually I'm the guy that's always like, hey, let's put something in there. We're gonna make sure it gives you credit, no space. But I'm telling you now, if a recruiter or hiring manager asks you what happened from, if you lost your job from March on period, and they don't seem to be empathetic or sympathetic or whatever the case may be, that's not the place you want to go work at. I'm so adamant about it now, because it's folks you need to have that human element. And if you lose a job during this period, and you're not understanding, I could just expletive. That's how I feel. Like, you know what I mean? So I would tell folks, listen, straight up, like, do what you need to, but just say COVID. I don't care what happened. COVID, okay? Because you're either going to lose a job, something's going to happen, you know what I mean? They were paid off. They understand. No one's going to question you. And if they do and they make a big deal about it, that is not what I want to work for.
Okay, so you don't necessarily have to go out and get a part-time job or go to school or say, hey, while I was doing COVID, I was taking classes or on YouTube University, whatever.
Right. There's so many, a period like this breeds entrepreneurship, but it also breeds, work things that you can do. And this is a good opportunity where a lot of things that you do, if you're a laborer, and I mean this in the nicest way possible, there's absolutely no reason why you don't have a job outside of that, because people need someone to do plumbing. People need someone to do electricity. You can market your services, hire a young family member or somebody to help out. You know what I mean? Like, there's opportunities there for you to be successful. So some of us who have skilled positions, might not necessarily be able to find that type of work. That work is accessible because everybody can find someone who needs that.
Okay, so I guess I want to ask this, because you mentioned entrepreneurship. How do you put that on a resume? like where an employer would take it seriously. Should well, I guess here's the question. Because anybody can say, I have an EIN. I got a business. But it doesn't necessarily mean it translates.
Well, I mean, truthfully, the way I look at it is you can label it a couple of different things, right? I mean, you could label it as like, you know, if you don't want to do it to a point where it's too much. It's like I was a CEO, or I was a co-owner, I was a founder. Find an appropriate business title. You know, like for example, business manager or director of operations or operations manager or something that makes sense according to what you're doing. You know, like like lead painter or lead technician or IT consultant. I mean, there's enough for you to do out there, and there's so much work out there that even some of these companies are asking, remote workers doing, certain assignments. So, I would do that. And I mean, it would still be, the thing is make it as closely aligned to the position that you're going for. So if you're like, well, I don't have the experience. Well, wait a minute, I do. So how do I incorporate that? Okay, so you add that info in there, and and you find a way to put everything together, and you'll be fine.
So is there a borderline though I have a dog too, so it's fine. What kind of dog do you have, by the way?
He's a Yorkie.
Oh, he's a lap dog, small. Okay, I have a sheepadoodle, so he's huge. So is there a borderline? Is there a fine line in between fraud and embellishment? Because I've seen this too, where people they want to play up their skill. It's almost to the point where could be like, really, you were the head of cashiers? That's not even a thing. Like, like I was the COO of putting
cashiers. You might as well say that you effectively handled all cash management transactions. Sounds better than cashier. I mean, like there's a way to highlight that. Now, effectively. So, okay. I wanted, this go around with you. I wanted to be a little bit more myself, and I also wanted to be a little bit more transparent. Well, I think fraud is fraud. Let me tell you, there's a reason why HR asks for that document sheet. Every time you apply, that everybody's like, oh, I got to refill this information again, because by law, you are liable and held to a standard. If you say that you did X, Y, and Z, and you're not able, they're firing you off break. You know what I mean? You're not capable.
Okay.
Well, so-and-so said that he did advanced Excel and pivot tables and VLOOKUPs and etc. We gave him the easy task, and he couldn't even do that. He was advanced all throughout his resume on multiple occasions. So, boom, fired, out. Now, embellishing, right? Mm-hmm. Gosh, like I'm not going to ever tell somebody to embellish. I'm also not going to tell somebody not to put something that they don't feel like they can do. Because here's the thing. Here's a fine line of, when it comes down to HR classification, what one company call an HR coordinator, right? Might be actually doing HR generalist work. So that HR generalist work is essentially what you're doing as an HR coordinator. Are you going to put HR coordinator work if that HR coordinator work is more aligned to an HR assistant? Mm-hmm. No. So you're going to make sure that if you're leveling up, you're going to pay attention to the job announcement in the company, because like if you're an HR manager at a small firm, I mean, and you're pretty much, you have the title, but you're doing HR generalist work somewhere else. So it really comes down to the company. I always say, like the military, they always say you always work 2 levels up, no matter what. The next man, you always got to make sure you know what their job is. Or the rank up, need to know. So personally, if we're taught that in the military, the common civilian or average Joe should be able to work 1 or 2 pay grades up or up to standard. So if you feel like you can do that job, because you're always doing your boss's job, you're always doing something, you're doing something extra, add it to your resume.
That lazy coworker that comes to work and doesn't want to do that.
Exactly. So on top of that, so how is that embellishing if your supervisor is a GS14 X, Y, and Z and you're a GS12, and the assignment that they're giving you, you look at their PD, it's strictly saying, blah, 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 strategic planning and X, Y, and Z, and your PD doesn't say that. Now you're thinking, I embellish? No, you're not embellishing. You're adding exact information on there to help boost your experience. But you can do it. If you can't do it, stay out. Don't even bother.
Okay, so as long as you can do the job or you feel confident enough.
Listen, yes. And if you can't even talk about it in an interview, don't go. Because I can tell you, I am a big proponent of going to interviews myself. I've gone through plenty. And I've gone through, like even when I was growing up, because I worked in admin and facilities and in ops. So I always said, you know what, I think I deserve X, Y. I've made it to the final round plenty. And, and I said to myself, I didn't get it I think I know why. But, but the point is that I know that I made, so let me give you guys a perfect example. Okay. Your chief resume writer actually was told this a couple years ago when I first got out the military. Okay. I made it. To this amazing job interview, right? Called back twice. First round, go. Second round, they told me, and I thought I did okay. At the end of it, the chief of staff told me. I wrote him very nicely, and for the first time, someone actually replied back and told me why I didn't get the job.
Yeah.
He replies back, and he said, "You realize that you were going for like an 04 level job? You were giving me E5 level answers." I said, which in military is like officer enlisted, but and I was like, mind blown. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, so they figured out that I don't necessarily have the experience. And the worst thing about it was that he said, truthfully, he said, we actually were really rooting for you. We had two positions, and he said, just come back and get some more experience, come back in a few years, and if the position's open and I'm still here, I'll give you an opportunity. But you need a little bit more set experience. And I took that as like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So again, but I didn't embellish. I'm gonna tell you what, I put what I thought was deemed appropriate. So I had probably about, honestly, 60-40, not 80-20, but 60-40 of what I thought would qualify. But they thought I passed the first round enough, and I met the qualifications. I just didn't have the leadership component of what they wanted, and that was fair.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense, but I think a lot of people embellish because of the infamous ATS or the AI, and so they're trying to beat the computer. How do you, because now sometimes the first person that looks at your resume is a person, but very rarely, especially if it's a big corporation. How do you stand out when you have a computer that's searching for those target words?
Simplify. Okay. I'm going to tell you right now, like, I go back and look at some of my stuff, and I look at some of my clients' resumes that have had like $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 increases, sitting here like, this resume got $55,000, and I'm like, wow. I'm proud of my work. But I'm like, compared to the other one that I just did, and he got 22. Okay, it's interesting. So then, I start to, I look at, sometimes it's simplicity, and sometimes it comes down to format. Like, I tell everybody, don't come to me. I'm not your digitalized, want to make your stuff look pretty. That's not my business. It's not, my mantra. My mantra is simple, black and white, content driven, X, Y, and Z. The rest of the stuff you sell on LinkedIn for someone, or put it somewhere, and someone like, ooh, it looks good. But the point I'm making is effective simplicity will go a long way. And people talk about keywords and X, Y, and Z. Oh, and I got news for everybody. For the first time in a while, I was really shocked. Okay. I was on USA Jobs, because a lot of people want government jobs, right? And I read the fine print a lot more this time. Like before, I was reading it, I already knew that 5-page limit X, Y. But I had so many jobs that were saying, do not copy the specialized experience and the job responsibilities, or you'll be automatically disqualified. I said, oh, they're being really, really serious. This is, I could tell you, I was reading it back to back. And I'm like, oh, people are getting this. Wow, this is It doesn't help. It doesn't necessarily. You might think it helps by adding all information. It really doesn't, because the way I look at it, and I want people to, maybe it's a crappy way to look at it, but I'm gonna tell you guys truthfully, you either have it or you don't. And what I mean by that is the computer is either it's your time or it's not your time. And if you think that, but one thing's for sure, those pretty looking resumes don't work. Don't work. I don't care what nobody says. They don't work.
They will get kicked out immediately.
Yeah. If you even have 1/4 of a table, I mean, literally table in there, goodbye. I'm telling you, like I don't know. I've seen it. I've seen it way too many times, and I've seen it where I'm like, oh yeah, I can see how this would affect you getting through.
Because it can't read it. So when it goes to the computer, it gets all confused. Like, oh, what is this? It's a table and it's a spreadsheet and it's never mind. So I think a lot of people, they think a person is looking at this and they're like, oh, because back in the day, I don't know if you, when you were in school or high school or whatever, they had mentioned like, you might want to use a different color piece of paper or, something like that. So it stands out.
About that, right? I don't even do that. I'm over here trying to think, when's the last time I used resume paper that I bought it? I just I don't remember when I've used it ever, honestly.
I don't think no one's using paper, anything. Everything is electronic, and I think that's another reason why a lot of people are just kind of getting pushed by the wayside. What site should we be using? There's so many now. There's so many specialized sites. What site should we be using? I have a little bit of a delay. I don't know why, but I do. What sites should I be using? Or we should be using as far as career goes? Is it Career Builder? Is it Indeed?
Well, I don't want to, crap on nobody's business. So I'll just say that I'm a big advocate for Indeed, and I'm a big advocate for LinkedIn, obvious reasons. But I will say dice.com for my techies. There's idealist.org, which is another one. A lot of nonprofits go on there as well. Another one that I'm a big fan of is www.governmentjobs.com. Now this one is a little bit different because it's more so city, municipal, county government jobs and some state jobs. So if it's for folks that you don't necessarily want to work for the feds, but say you want to go work in Broward County or something in Florida, or you want to go work in what's that place, like Odessa, Texas, you want to go work for whatever they have, whatever, you can find jobs like that there, so the places where you probably wouldn't suspect, but it's that has all the jobs, like plenty of jobs there. Gosh, there's another one, I think it's like the Association for Associate Executives. But it's a website where I don't remember it exactly, but it's one where it's good because it's primarily like, for example, like you'll have something random like American Geophysical Society or the Society of Optical, X, Y, and Z. So things that you probably wouldn't think. You'd be like, huh, really? Those are the jobs? And you might be surprised. Like, the American Bar Association might pull up on there. You might see something from, those are the type of jobs that you keep. I think clearancejobs.com for folks who want the clearances. Of course, USA Jobs. I know you're probably wondering, okay, he hasn't said it yet. No, I have not said ZipRecruiter, and I'm not going to. I'm not, because I'm getting a lot of spam, and I get a lot of inquiries where my clients come back to me and say, Richard, is this real? I'm like, no.
Okay. So you have to be very careful, I guess, with the sites, with people putting up job posts. Is there a way to spot it where you're like, no, this is not? Well, I would assume the stuff that you see, you work 2 hours a week and you make $150,000 a day. Like, of course, that's probably
or the famous personal assistant ones that I see all the time. Jeez, man, I hate that. That right there, that one is probably the biggest one. And then the ones that'll say like supply chain manager, W-2 contract, 32 hours an hour or whatever. And I'm like, and then I see the name and I'm like, Brad G something. I'm like, you gotta read the job enough. And some of these folks are getting slick. They're getting really slick with the way they do their job announcements and everything else. As long as you're very careful in how you That's why you ask for a second opinion. I always, I have clients now that always ask me. I'll go back and look. So, like, for example, one of my clients, sent me guy's information, and I read it, and I went back and looked at his recommendations. I went back, looked at what was said, and I was like, okay, all right, he appears to be legit, so I think we should go for the interview. So let's try it out. Let's see what happens. So, I mean, it's good to ask. If you don't know, ask a professional.
Okay.
Ask somebody. Ask someone in HR. If you have to think about it twice, do it then. That's my rule of thumb.
That's a good point. If you're not sure, it's probably your gut is probably right. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Now, in COVID, have you seen any industries that have been booming? Like, you have a lot of clients who are getting hired in a certain sector, or not really?
Yeah, well, I can tell you, believe it or not, my top three this year, IT in general, and when I mean IT, of course, every subcomponent of IT. Like, we talking from like business analyst, engineering to, of course, cyber being number one. I mean, that's been number one, period, for me. So my clients and that are getting hired. Two, believe it or not, is actually my HR folks.
Oh, wow.
My HR folks, right. My HR folks are getting hired a lot. Okay. And I mean, and it's surprising because it's all, I'm talking about HR BPs, I'm talking about HR generalists, HR managers, directors. I'm even talking about the talent acquisition folks, the senior recruiters, all that. So that whole spectrum is fantastic. Now, third, operations. And when I mean operations, I'm talking more so like logistics, warehouse operations, and that type of thing as it relates to that. And then finance and accounting. Now, the only reason why I'm bringing up the operations thing is because a lot of my clients have been getting hired by Amazon.
Okay.
Amazon, and been getting quite a bit of getting a lot of my clients are getting hired, and it's working beautifully. But at the same time, I'm like, man, this is interesting. So my top company this year, I'm just gonna go ahead and say Amazon. Outside the federal government, it's Amazon.
Wow. I guess that explains the extra couple billion he got in his bank account.
Yeah, God.
It's booming. Business is booming. And I guess here's one of my I have another question, but this is the second to last question. Cover letter or no cover letter? Because I've been reading and seeing things that some recruiters read them and some of them don't.
I'm not a fan. I know that some of my peers on LinkedIn will tell you yes. I'm gonna tell you I don't care. I don't have a preference for it. I don't like it. I do believe it's essential. If they require or ask for it, then absolutely send it in. Okay. Other than that, I'm not sending it in. If you want to explain, sure, but look, even some of the recruiters I've helped tell me straight up, I'm not reading that.
Okay.
I'm like, well, that makes sense to me. And I'll say, do you want the resume package with what you got? They're like, no, I don't want that. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, because isn't it? It's funny how that works, because it really depends on the person you get. Who is the recruiter? How experienced is this recruiter? How much does this recruiter really like their job?
Don't get me started on that. Don't get me started on the experience part of it.
Yeah, it's a tricky thing, and I think a lot of people don't understand that. They think all recruiters are built the same. If you have a recruiter that's getting paid per person, you're gonna have a different experience than if you have a corporate recruiter, and then even then you have different types of people. So if you're out there looking for a job, just know the frustration is real. Everybody
you gotta also watch the recruiter that you're asking for, because I have a pet peeve where, some of my clients will ask recruiters certain questions, ask them, hey, this is right, and then I'm like, why don't you give me the recruiter's info so I can make sure if their information is actually legit? Because it's like, I had one person, was like, that's resume garbage, and completely destroyed my client's confidence. And I'm like, whoa, I just told you have zero experience in IT. So if that recruiter told you that you don't have the experience, that's because you don't. But you know what I mean? Like, we're trying to build on basic help desk information, management type stuff that there to help you. because you have the basics, but they decided not to listen to. So, you know what I mean? Not every recruiter is on your side. Like, it's like when I tell people, not every HR person is good at resumes.
Right. Yeah, they're just there to, they got a list. This is what we have. And a lot of them do paperwork. They don't even do the resume unless it's a one-stop shop. All right. So right now we have different types of things going on, but should you have a standard resume? I know a lot of people were saying no, it should be different. Should you have a standard resume?
I used to have 4, 5, 6 different resumes. Like,
okay.
And I stopped. And as a career coach, I stopped doing that years ago. And what I started doing was really starting to hone in on some of the jobs I was going for and paying attention to what they were asking. And I would really focus on that. And that would essentially help me out as far as identifying how I wanted to write my resume. In short, I was able to do that. I use one. I use one. Well, I use one specifically for what I like, the ops side, one for HR, because I have so many different skills. However, I tell my clients all the time, you don't need to have that many. You don't have to constantly keep changing it up. You know, so if you have one good one, you have a set idea with the type of jobs that you want, use a standard one. And you can change around if you want. But like I said, that ATS is, you're going to spend 45 minutes to an hour and a half trying to correct the resume again that I created. And then you're going to get mad because you're going to say the resume was, but then you don't realize while you took all the meat and potatoes of what I put on there, it was put on there with a purpose so you can get through. But the minute you start adding additional stuff, it might completely just, destroy what was there.
Yeah, that's true. So no, if you go to a professional resume writer, allow them and their work to do its job before you come in.
Exactly. And then make them, let them do what they need to. If it don't work, it don't work. Because sometimes this doesn't work with certain. Is what it is.
Yeah, it's a hit or miss with anything.
Absolutely.
How can people reach you? So if they're really struggling right now and they've tried the resume thing on their own, how could they reach you?
They can reach me at rdroresumes.com, rdroresumes.com. I'm on Instagram, rdroresumes. You can catch me on Facebook at RD Resume Career Coaching, and on LinkedIn, Richard Drosin. You'll catch me on there. I'm pretty active, especially on LinkedIn, and it's pretty much me. And my website by itself has an option for you to reach out to me, and I'll be able to talk and chat.
Yeah, he's pretty nice too. Like if you reach out to him, everything is not like that'll be $5,000. Like he's really really nice.
I need to do better if that's the type of people I need to get. 5G's on top.
Off top before you even talk to him. 5G.
Right.
But yeah, it's coming. It's coming one day. But I want to thank you for coming back to the platform and speaking careers and jobs during COVID, because this is a tricky time for everyone.
Absolutely. And I'm thankful for being here. And, I'm always willing to support you anytime.
All right. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right. I want to thank Mr. Richard Drosin for coming through to Millennials Anonymous podcast, being here with us, giving us that knowledge. He gave us so much information. I appreciate him. Make sure you reach out to him. When I tell you, there's a lot of people on social media right now because everybody's trying to make some money. I ain't gonna knock you. All right, so full circle. Check these people. Okay, you need to research these people. If somebody say that I can write you a resume, you better know who they are, because anybody can say that, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they can write a resume that's going to get you results. And of course, there's no guarantee, even if you're the best person to write your resume. But still, you need to know, because if the person can't spell, you might want to check that out. All right, you might want to know if they don't understand what words mean. Okay, you out here with the whole European spelling for behavior in there. All right, and you got use and all these words. Like that don't even go there on this side. That don't even go there. Like, are you European? No. So make sure they not Google pasting. All right, they Google pasting. All right, make sure you go and you find somebody that can write you a resume that's dope as hell, that will get you some results. And Richard Drosin can do that. So make sure you reach out to him. Make sure you go to his website. Make sure you follow him on LinkedIn. Make sure you follow him on other social media platforms so that if you need help, he is one of the best guys to do that. And if he can't help you, he will point you in the direction of somebody who may. So thank you. And I want to thank everybody for watching and everybody for listening to Millennials Anonymous Podcast. We appreciate you all. We love you all. We love you. We love you. We love you. We are coming through with some more fire. We have Mr. Showtime Brando from P-Valley, DJ Never Scared, will be on next week, so we talk to him. So make sure you stay tuned and you're locked and loaded for that, because I'm excited about that. We have another interview coming up after that, so make sure you stay. You come back. All right. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Bye.